Hello everyone, today is 10th of August. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper as well as of the Indian Express newspaper. And guys, today there are very important articles that we are going to discuss. Guys, please do hit the like button if you like our initiative. Now guys, taking up the overview of the articles today. So this is, first of all, we will be taking the Indian Express newspaper, the explained section. Guys, this article talks about the RBI's monetary policy that has been announced. Guys, into the last couple of days, we have seen this particular thing repeatedly. Now, this particular article, clearest picture of the climate, it talks about the IPCC 6th assessment report that has been there. We will be taking it up. Then guys, further we can see that the North Atlantic circulation has been discussed, why it is declining, a very important article. We will be seeing this. So these are the articles we are taking from the Indian Express. Now coming to the Hindu. So this is the page number 1. And guys, here again the IPCC 6th assessment report has been discussed. We will see that what has happened. Then guys, here we can see that the Indian Prime Minister has set the framework at the maritime security debate that has held at the UNSC. We will see that what has happened here. Then guys, here we can see that with respect to the Jharkhand judge's death case, the CBI had submitted the report, but the Supreme Court is not happy with it. However, guys, you don't need to go too much into the nitty-gritties of these particular kind of matters. Now, the Independence Day celebrations are going to be held and the theme will be the nation first, always first. And even the Olympic medalists, they have been invited to the Red Fort. Fine, then guys, moving on. Further, we can see onto the city page, guys, nothing very much important has been there. Fine, moving on. Now guys, we can see that rising number of cases etc. have been discussed, nothing very much substantial. Then guys, coming to the editorial page, here we can see that the Saudi Arabia and Iran relations have been talked about. We will see that what has happened here. Then guys, this particular article is talking about the IPCC 6th assessment report. We will see. Then guys, this article is talking about the de-escalation that has happened already into the Gogra. We have seen it also. Then guys, this article talks about the labor law reforms. However, into the article, guys, just a kind of a journey and a kind of a very kind of a critical assessment of the government has been there with respect to the policy etc. Much of substance is not there. Then guys, this article talking about the misinformation through a feminist lens. We will see what is the gendered misinformation and all such kind of things. Then guys, this particular article, it talks about the idea of circular economy, India Plastic Pact. We will see it. Then guys, this article talks about the crisis that might come into the West Bengal because guys, the Mamata Banerjee, the 6-month tenure is going to over. So just that kind of thing. Then guys, this article talks about the glacial status into the aftermath of the climate change. Then we will be seeing it. Fine. Then guys, the other articles are not very much important. Fine. Moving on. Then we can see here guys that Lok Sabha had passed 3 bills in just 20 minutes. It will have huge repercussions into the times to come. We will be seeing it. Then guys, further moving on, we can see here that the issues with respect to the vaccine etc. are there. Now guys, the government is delaying the collegium recommendations. We will see. Then guys, this particular article, it talks about the new mission, the mission onto the oil palm and oil production that has been started by the government. We will see that what has happened. Then further moving on guys, here we can see that the Taliban has captured 2 more cities and the spree of Taliban to capture more lands have continued. Fine. Then the climate report must be death knell for fossil fuels. Fine, we will see that what is the impact onto the India. Fine, then guys, onto the business page, we can see that the issue with respect to the future and future Amazon etc. has been mentioned, not very much important. Fine, so much of the evolving details are there. Fine. So guys, that is all about the newspaper overview. Now guys, in today's video, there is a little bit of a glitch. In half of the video, the picture might go away. Guys, please do tolerate it today because there was some kind of a glitch that had happened. I tried to remove it, but it was not possible. So please tolerate for today. Thank you so much. And now let's discuss the newspaper analysis in detail. Now friends, starting up with the today's GS quote. So today we will be taking a quote from the French philosopher Montesquieu, who had also propounded the theory of separation of powers. He says, the tyranny of a prince in an oligarchy is not so much dangerous to the public welfare as the apathy of the citizen in a democracy. Guys, it has been provided that the robustness and resilience into a democracy comes from the participation by the citizenry. It comes by the virtue that how much citizens are taking the interest in bringing the accountability of the state. And if such kind of thing will not be there, then even the democracy can turn into a kind of an authoritarianism. It can even turn into a kind of a mobocracy. So the citizens, they need to be concerned with the impending issues. They need to ask the accountability of a state, and they need to take interest into the national issues and prerogatives. So guys, this particular idea we can utilize in the answers related to the GS paper number 2 as well as into the essay. So guys, that is all about today's GS quote, and now let's discuss the articles one by one. Now guys, taking up the first article. So this particular article here, we have clubbed the article from the Hindu newspaper, the article from the Indian Express explained section, and it talks about the IPCC 6th assessment report that has been released. Now guys, earlier we have also seen when it was not released that it is going to be released. And guys, the IPCC, it stands for the Intergovernmental Panel onto the Climate Change. Regularly it comes out with the assessment report where it tells that what is the trajectory of the climate change, how disastrous it will be, what are the mitigation strategies that are needed. Now guys, the last assessment report came in 2014, and now after the gap of 7 years, this particular report is there. Now guys, the findings here can directly be important for our GS paper number 3 into the environment, ecology and conservation. Now guys, into the IPCC report, first of all, it has been provided for the first time that into the climate change, the anthropogenic factors are the most responsible ones. Guys, into the 5th assessment report, it was said that the anthropogenic or the human induced factors might be the cause or might be the probable cause, but here it has been said that these are the most important cause or direct result of the human activities is leading to the climate change. Further guys, it has been provided that what has happened now, the compound events will be triggered more and more. Now what are these compound events? Guys, there are many of the events which happen side by side, and both are happening because of the climate change, and in fact both are reinforcing each other. For example guys, we have seen into the Uttarakhand that because of the climate change, fine, first of all the glacial melting was there. Secondly, because of the climate change, intense rains came, and guys, at the same time, because of this kind of thing, the flooding happened into the Uttarakhand. So glacial melting, high rain and flooding, all these three events had happened side by side and all had reinforced each other. So these are the compound events. So basically the heavy rainfalls, landslides, snow avalanches, flooding, these kind of compound events will be increasing. Then guys, it has been provided by this report that, see, if you remember into the Paris agreement that happened in 2015, the pledge was taken that we need to stop the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Fine, and if we want to be little bit relaxed, maximum temperature rise could be 2 degrees Celsius. So best case scenario 1.5 and the worst case scenario 2 degrees Celsius was agreed into the Paris. Now guys, into this particular report, it has been said that whatever you do, whatever efforts you take, fine, 1.5 degree temperature rise is sure, and this 1.5 degree Celsius rise will be witnessed before 2040 and maybe around 2035, 2037. It has further been provided that when we talk about the glaciers into the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, they will keep shrinking and the snow cover will retreat to the higher altitudes. Snow line will further move upwards. Fine. Then guys, further it has been provided that the heat waves and the humid heat stress will continue and will become more intense. Fine. There will be basically into the Southeast Asia, the heat intense moments will be more. Guys, we have seen few days back that heat dome was generated over the Canada. So such instances into the Southeast Asia will also be coming. Then guys, it has been provided that both the annual as well as the summer as well as the monsoon precipitation will increase, and there will be the interannual variability over the Southeast Asia. Variability, there will be some areas which will be receiving less rain, some areas will be receiving more rains. Now this thing will happen during the one course of monsoon, and over the years such variability will also be seen. Then guys, third, after that it has been said that heat extremes, they will increase while cold extremes have decreased. Fine, you might be observing if you live into the North India that now the winters are not that much severe. So cold extremes will reduce, heat extremes will increase. Then further it has been provided that the glacier runoff into the Asian high mountains will increase up to the mid 21st century. and subsequently runoff may decrease due to the loss of glacial storage. So guys, by till 2050 the runoff will increase. After 2050 it will reduce. Why? Because then there will be no glaciers. Then further it has been provided that there will be the relative sea level increase around the Asia, fine, and into the Asia the sea level rise, it will be higher than the global average, and into this particular capacity the coastal cities, coastal areas will be exposed to the climate change. Now guys, these are all the takeaways from the IPCC 6th assessment report, and now let's take the analysis as we usually do onto all the articles. So guys, the analysis is even more important. Now the first important analysis comes is that the next decade is very much decisive. Fine, if the efforts which are being taken by the world countries, they are concrete, then guys, we might be able to reduce the little bit speed of climate change. We can reduce the speed of temperature rise. Then guys, further it has been provided that the deep emission cut are needed to be taken by 2030. Now guys, now the concept of the net zero or the carbon neutrality has come into this thing. The countries are taking the targets for the carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality means that whatever emissions they are doing, they will absorb the same amount of carbon by the carbon sequestration. They will be bringing the tree cover and all such kind of things. So guys, at the end of the day, net emission will be zero. So that is a net zero concept. Now into this particular net zero, the countries have taken the target till 2050. For example, the China has taken the target of 2060. Guys, more than 100 countries have taken up the target that by 2050 they will be going for the carbon neutrality, and by 2035, by 2040 they have said that they will be reaching the peak emission. Now it has been provided that you need to cut the emission by 2030. 2050 is very much late. So guys, this is one more analysis that we can take. Further guys, see, when we talk about the India, now India is the world's third largest carbon emitter. Fine, India says that we will not take any net zero target. Why? Because there is a principle of CBDR, that is the common but differentiated responsibility. Now as per the principle of the common but differentiated responsibility, it has said that to control the pollution, it is the responsibility of every country, but how much effort is to be given, it is different. The developed countries, they need to give more effort. The developing countries, they might give a little bit lesser effort. So it has been said that India is a developing country, and by the principle of CBDR, we will not be taking any deadline because we need to go for the growth, development, etc. But guys, it has been provided that India being the third largest emitter, if it will not take the zero emission, then guys, there will be no time left when we will ponder such kind of things. So India needs to take the target out of moral responsibility. Fine, that is the thing. Then guys, further it has been we can see that there were the INDC targets that were taken in 2015. Now the INDCs, it stands for intended nationally determined contributions. It was said that all the countries, by their own voluntary assessment, they will be coming out with the carbon reduction targets. Fine. Now India had also taken the INDCs. Number one INDC is that we will be making the facilities for the carbon sequestration. 2.5 to 3 billion ton of carbon dioxide will be sequestered. Fine. It has been provided that the emission will be cut by 33 to 35%. Fine. So guys, and further it has also been provided that our energy, the 40% of our energy, it will be coming from the non-fossil fuels. So these were the three INDCs that were taken by India. Now guys, around 110 countries, they have updated their INDCs into the last few years, what they originally taken in 2015. But India and China, these are the two countries which are the big emitters, but they have not updated the INDCs. So now as the new evidence is coming onto the fore, the INDCs are to be updated, particularly by the India and China. Then guys, further next thing comes is that we have a lot of reliance onto the coal. Fine guys, just a couple of days back, I think just yesterday, we have also seen that whether the coal power plants need to be phased out or not. So we have too much reliance onto the coal. This reliance is needed to be reduced, and we need to move towards electronic vehicle, renewable energy, etc. And into this particular thing, some serious efforts are to be taken up. So guys, into this particular news analysis, we can see that the IPCC 6th assessment report is very much serious. The climate change is real. It is happening due to the anthropogenic factors. The 1.5 degrees Celsius rise is assured. Fine, by the end of 21st century, by the end of 2100, we might able to even see 4 degrees Celsius rise if nothing is done. And guys, when we talk about the 4 degrees Celsius rise, it doesn't mean that all the days will be having 4 degrees Celsius more temperatures, but there will be some days where even 10, 12, 13 degrees Celsius rise might also be there, which might impact and which will be impacting the ecosystem in a very negative manner. So guys, that is all about this particular article. Guys, it is a very important thing. Please do utilize this. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article taken from the Indian Express Explained section, very important for the GS paper number 1, Geographical Phenomena, as well as GS paper number 3, Environment, Ecology and Conservation. Now guys, this article talks about the North Atlantic circulation, which is declining. We will see that what this entire issue is. Now guys, first of all, what we will be talking here, about the AMOC, that is the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. Now guys, what is this AMOC? Fine. See, you might be knowing the phenomena of conveyor belt that runs into the ocean. Now guys, what is this phenomena of conveyor belt? Guys, you know this thing that the earth, it doesn't receives the heat into the equal manner. Fine, there are some areas which are receiving the more heat, there are some areas which are receiving the less heat, but guys, we see that a kind of a conducive environment, a conducive temperature is more or less found onto the entire earth. So it has been provided that the oceans, they play a very important role into the distribution of heat onto the earth. It has been said that the oceans, they act like the conveyor belt where they transport the excess heat from one area to another area, and not only the heat, the nutritions etc. also they are transported. Now guys, apart from the ocean, winds also play an important role in basically taking up the heat from one place to another place. You might have seen all this into the geography. Today we will be talking about the role of oceans. So friends, into the oceans we have ocean currents. Now these ocean currents, they travel from north to south or from south to north, and when they are going from one place to another place, they are carrying the water, and by that particular thing the heat is being transported. Now friends, onto this particular picture you can see the Atlantic Ocean, and within the Atlantic Ocean we can see that here is the North Atlantic current, then there is the East Greenland current. Basically they are transporting the water from one region to the another region, and when either the cold water is being brought into the equatorial region, the coldness is coming here, and when the hot water is being taken from the tropical region towards the Europe, then guys, that hot water brings a kind of a mild environment, mild weather there. So guys, these oceans, they act as a conveyor belt. Now guys, what happens? Basically around the equator, the hot water, it starts to travel towards the polar region. Fine. Then guys, when this particular water reaches around the pole, the water becomes cold and it sinks. Fine. After that, it comes again back towards the equatorial region, where it again upwells, and then again it goes towards the polar region. So basically a kind of a conveyor belt develops here. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about the AMOC, that is the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, it is simply the complex system which is existing into the Atlantic Ocean. It consists all the cold water currents, warm water currents. So all these currents into a collective sense, when we refer to it as a system, it is simply the AMOC. Fine. So guys, all this particular system here, this is the AMOC. Now guys, it has been provided according to a study that has been published into one of a very reputed journal, Nature, that this AMOC is getting weakened year after year. In last 1600 years, the trend of this AMOC has been witnessed, and now it has been said that in last few years it has become very much weak. Now guys, it has been provided that one of important current, the Gulf Stream, which is a part of the AMOC, it is a warm current, and it is responsible actually for the mild climate at the eastern coast of North America as well as Europe. See, if this AMOC or if this Gulf current will not be there, Europe will become very much cold. So if AMOC will not be there, then guys, life into the Europe will become very much impossible. Now what has happened? The Gulf Stream, the entire AMOC is becoming weakened, and because of this, the northern hemisphere hemisphere will become very much cold. Even the rainfall will decrease over the Europe, and guys, it might have a very big effect onto the El Nino. Fine. Now guys, it has been provided that this particular change is coming majorly because of the climate change presently. Earlier guys, the AMOC has also been weakened earlier, but that time the anthropogenic factors were not responsible. Now the anthropogenic factors are responsible. Even the IPCC 6th assessment report has also provided this thing. Guys, into this particular capacity, how the climate change is playing important role. Now see, when we talk about the polar regions, around the pole there are the glaciers. Fine. Now when the climate change will increase, obviously the glacial melting will increase. When the glacial melting will increase, what will happen? The fresh water will be coming into the sea around the poles, and because of that particular fresh water, the saturation of the saline water will reduce. The water will not be heavy. When the water will not be heavy, water will not sink. Fine. And guys, why the sinking of water is needed? If you remember, when I draw this particular map, this graph, I told you here that the cold water sinks, and as it sinks, it starts to go towards the equator, then it goes for an upwelling, and again it comes back to the pole. If water will not sink here, obviously guys, one side of the AMOC will get broken down, and then the AMOC will not be able to operate. So because of the glacial melting, because of the fresh water discharge that is happening around the poles, which has been expanded because of the climate change, it will be playing a role here, and into the coming times AMOC might get entirely shut down. So guys, this particular thing also has provided that the countries need to play an important role so that the climate change could be mitigated. Guys, it has been provided that if we continue to drive the global warming at the present rate, the Gulf Stream system will further weaken by 34 to 45% by 2100, and it might be very much problematic for the Europe as a region. Fine. So guys, that is all which has been provided here. Fine. Now guys, just the AMOC mechanism which I discussed here, if you just want it in terms of the wordings, in terms of a definition, you can see that the AMOC, it carries warm surface water from the tropics towards the northern hemisphere, where it cools and sinks. It then returns to the tropics and then to the South Atlantic as a bottom current. From there, it is distributed to all the ocean basins via the Atlantic circumpolar current. Fine. So this is the AMOC, which the role that it plays. Fine. So guys, that is all about here. Fine. Please do utilize if a question comes into the GS paper number 1. That is all. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and guys, it is talking about the open debate that has been held into the UNSC, which was chaired by the Indian Prime Minister. Guys, if you have seen the yesterday's newspaper analysis, yesterday only we have seen that the Prime Minister is going to chair the open debate onto the maritime domain into the United Nations Security Council. That has now been concluded. And what are the key takeaways from that open debate? We will be seeing into this particular article. Guys, it will be important for our GS paper number 2 under the international issues, India's diplomacy, etc. Now guys, into this open debate onto the maritime security, the Prime Minister has outlined the 5 principal framework. He had said, number 1, that when we talk about the maritime domain, the barriers onto the maritime trade are needed to be removed. The cooperation is needed to be enhanced. The Prime Minister said that India came out with the Sagar initiative, that is a security and growth for all into the region. And under the Sagar initiative, removing the removing the barriers, removing all such kind of obstacles have been a principal pillar. So world countries also need to learn from it. Secondly, guys, it has been provided that the maritime disputes, they need to be resolved peacefully and in accordance to the international law. Now guys, when we talk about the international law onto the seas, there is the UN clause, that is the United Nations Convention onto the law of seas. Now, if there is any maritime dispute, there is the UNICLOS tribunal in which the countries can approach. But most of the times we have seen that the UN clause tribunal's award has not been endorsed specifically by the China. Fine, into the South China Sea. Now guys, a dispute between the India and Bangladesh was also there onto the maritime boundary. UN clause gave a verdict and India had agreed it. So by this, India had established a kind of a good precedence. Other countries also need to follow it. Then thirdly, it has been provided that the countries, they jointly need to tackle the maritime threats from non-state actors and natural disasters. Guys, when we talk about the non-state actors, terrorism and piracy into the Indian Ocean region as well as into the maritime domain has been increasing, as well as the disasters, guys. We have seen that now the tsunami, cyclone type events are increasing, so into that the collaboration is needed. Then the fourth, it has been provided that the maritime environment and marine resources need to be conserved. Fine, the plastic pollution, oil spills, such kind of incidents are to be tamed. Fine, so on to that cooperation needs to be there. And guys, fifthly, it has been provided that the responsible maritime connectivity is needed. Fine, we need to create the structures so that the maritime trade connectivity is can be there, but all such kind of things are needed to be done into a sustainable manner. So into this particular capacity, these five frameworks are needed to be respected. Now guys, it is an India's contribution to basically India chairing at the UNSC and giving such five frameworks for the entire world, sorry. It marks a momentous moment for the Indian diplomacy. Fine. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. Please do use it if a kind of a need arises. So that is all, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and guys, we can utilize it into the GS paper number 3, the food security, as well as into the GS paper number 2, the hunger. Fine. Now guys, what has happened here? The government had come out with a new mission to enhance the oil palm production. Now see, when we talk about the oil palms, guys, the share of the imported palm oil has increased to nearly 55 to 60%. Fine. At the same time, when we talk about the India's capacity for the palm oil, we have a robust capacity. We have the Northeast India and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are both the prime locations for the oil palm cultivation. But still, we are not able to leverage this geographical thing that is there into the India. So therefore, now the government had come out with the National Mission on Edible Oil Palm, NMEOOP. Now guys, National Mission on Edible Oil Palm, it is a 11,000 crore rupees mission where this particular money will be spent to ensure the self-sufficiency into the edible oil production. And not only the self-sufficiency will be there, but guys, it will also be helping to reduce our dependence onto the expensive imports, because guys, when we talk about the imports, our current account deficit is very much bad, and into this these oil palm imports are also adding. So the twin purpose will be solved by this particular mission. Now guys, here the government will ensure that the farmers, they get all the facilities, and the facilities might be the input facilities such as seeds, they might be the facilities such as the technological know-how, all will be provided to the farmers. Moreover guys, it has also been provided that not just the cultivation of oil palm will also be there, but other traditional oil seed crops will also be given an impetus by this NMEOOP mission. Further, it has been provided that the proposal is to enhance to reduce the import dependence from now 60% to 45% by 24-25. So guys, here a mission based approach, a target based approach has also been taken. Further, it has been provided that the domestic edible oil production needs to be enhanced from present 10.5 million tons to 18 million tons. Fine, a 70% growth target has been kept. So this is all the features of this particular NEMEO, that is the National Mission on Edible Oil Palm. Now guys, earlier there was the predecessor of this particular mission into the name of National Mission on Oil Seeds and Oil Palm, which was started by the earlier UPA government. However guys, later it was basically merged with the National Food Security Mission, but now again the government had restarted this particular mission as a separate thing to give a more dedicated and focused attention. So guys, this is the new scheme which has started. Guys, please do utilize if a question comes. Fine. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken up from the Hindu newspaper. Fine. And guys, it is talking about the need of increased cooperation between the Saudi Arabia and Iran so that the entire region as a whole could be stabilized. Now guys, into this particular thing, much of the direct implications onto the India has not been discussed. Moreover guys, many of the things which are very much intricate only to this region has been there. Fine, we will be discussing. Now guys, it has been provided that now if we see we have seen that the world is becoming more and more destabilized because of the many of the global disputes which are emerging. And into this particular direction, into the West Asia, guys, also the dispute between the Saudi Arabia and the Iran has been very much prominent. But now the Saudi Arabia and Iran are taking some of the efforts so that the tensions can be reduced between both of them, which is a kind of a welcome step. Now, guys, it has been provided that when we see the geography of this particular region, find geography towards the West Asia, we can see that there is the Persian Gulf, which is a very important water body between the Saudi Arabia and the Iran. Now, guys, the Persian Gulf, it is nearly 990-kilometer long water body which separates the Iran from the Arabian Peninsula, and its lowest point here you can see its lowest point is around the Strait of Hormuz, where only 54-kilometer wide region is there. Now, guys, this particular region is very much important because the crude oil and LNG to the global markets is being supplied from this Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf, and the stability into this particular region is very much important. And guys, if we talk with respect to the prelims, the Persian Gulf, it is surrounded by the 8 countries, which is the Bahrain, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. And when we talk about the history, guys, before the 1970, the Persian Gulf was a British lake. Now, guys, when we talk about the Persian Gulf, fine, and the region surrounded it, there have been the instabilities into the past which has been created by many of the events. For example, there was the Muscat Conference of 1975, which provided that a kind of a unified army cooperation is needed to be there so that a kind of a security into the region could be enhanced. But guys, that particular military cooperation which was being talked about, it did not materialize, and rather the suspicion etc. got created here. Then, guys, the Iranian revolution was there into the Iran, and it made all the countries suspicious to the Iran. Then the Iran-Iraq war was there into the 1980, and all these things had basically enhanced the kind of suspicion and dispute into this particular region. Fine. So, guys, therefore it has been provided that now the need of an hour is that into this particular region more convergences are to be found out, and this particular convergences need to be leveraged so better cooperation could be there. So therefore it has been provided that the freedom of access to and out from the Gulf water through the Strait of Hormuz needed to be recognized for all the countries who are there into the region. Then, guys, further it has been provided that freedom of commercial shipping into the international waters into the Persian Gulf is needed to be recognized. Then there needs to be the prevention of conflict that might impinge onto the freedom of trade and shipping into that thing. Constructively countries need to come together. Then, guys, it has been provided that the freedom need to be given to all the states of the Gulf littoral so that they can exploit their hydrocarbons and other resources. Fine. And how effectively and in efficient manner they can export it, it also needed to be enhanced. Then, guys, it has been provided that the conditions of peace and stability needs to be there so that the extra regional powers are not coming and are not taking the advantage. Now, guys, into this particular thing, we have seen that the US had got much of the say into this particular region because of the instability that is there. Now, guys, the USA, when it has come, many times the affairs or the matters have been meddled up into an unnecessary way. So now the region needs to make sure that there is no undue intervention by any of the external party, and basically onto their own sustainable, long-lasting, peace-oriented solutions are needed to be found out. Fine. So, guys, this is all the message that has been taken up here. Now, guys, there are much of the details with respect to the internal integrities. If you are for the sake of the general studies, too much going into the deep is not that much needed because the questions into the IRGS2 has been very broad themed. So, guys, that is all about this particular article, the key takeaways from it. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is important with respect to the GS paper number 1, social issues. Now, guys, basically this particular article provides that when we talk about the internet has become a kind of a pervasive phenomena, and onto the internet we see the fake information, misinformation and disinformation. Now, this misinformation and disinformation is not basically wrong, it is not a troubling phenomena, but guys, it also had a gendered dimension. We see a gendered misinformation onto the internet. What is this gendered misinformation? We see that the rumors and the fake news for the male, they are different from the female. For example, if any male is being targeted, either his intellect will be targeted or any other thing will be targeted, But when a female is being targeted for the fake news or for the propaganda, the sexist, misogynist type of remarks are often made. So guys, a kind of a gendered dimension even into the misinformation we can see onto the internet. Now guys, into this particular article, many of the personalistic experiences of the real people, politicians, ladies have been given. We will not be using such kind of names directly into our examination because that thing is not needed for the UPSC. Guys, it has been provided that there is needed to be a reorientation into the discourse of the feminist movement. The feminist movement into the India, they had mainly catered to the direct exploitation of the women that is happening, but the gendered misinformation that is oriented onto the internet towards the women, that dimension has not been covered by the Indian feminist movement. So the Indian feminist movement needs to reorient. Guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the gendered misinformation that is being created towards the women, where the women are being passed the sexist remarks, lewd remarks onto their character, when they are being passed, they also have an intersectional aspect. So there is an intersectional aspect of gendered misinformation. For example, guys, when a woman belonging to the majority of religion, when she is being targeted, only the sexist remarks are there. But when the women belonging to a minority community is being targeted, not only the sexist remarks will be there, but remarks onto the mark of their or her religion, etc., will also be there. So guys, the concept of intersectionality provides that all people are not exploited equally. Some are even more exploited because of the intersectionality of the different factors. So it has been provided that this gendered information, it is also having an intersectional aspect. Then guys, it has been provided that when we talk about this misinformation, it is not only demeaning to the women, but it also undermines the democracy. It has been provided that whenever the strong women, they come out with their opinions against the state or any policy or any action, then the troll army, they target them. The sexist remarks, misogynist remarks are made to them, rape threats are issued to them, and these are so much of the threats, they need to block their account, they need to suspend their online activities. Now guys, when they will be blocking their account, obviously they cannot vent out their grievance, and therefore they are not participating into a democracy. And when we talk about the democracy, the strength of the democracy rests onto the participative aspect. So guys, these are trolls, they are also undermining the democracy. Then guys, it has been provided that often basically the sexualization of the misinformation is not there, but the sexuality is also being used to spread the misinformation. Guys, it has been said that there are the fake accounts which are created into the name of women, fine, and these fake accounts, they spread some kind of information which reveal that the women themselves are not having the good character. So male are running the female account by the name of female. So here the sexuality is being used to spread the misinformation. Then guys, when we talk about the misinformation, it has been provided that the misinformation and the sexism, they have a symbiotic relationship. For example, the misinformation piggybacks onto the sexism. Fine, misinformation, sexist remarks are made to discredit the vocal women, and onto the other hand, sexism uses misinformation to reinforce the patriarchal norms. So guys, it has been provided that the citizenry as a whole needs to come together so that the internet could be used into a constructive way. The misinformation, disinformation, propaganda that are being run, they can be reduced, and when these propaganda are gendered, on that particular kind of instances are also needed to be reduced. So guys, all this particular things have been provided here. Guys, into this particular article, I told you earlier that many of the personalistic examples are there. Please don't use it that into your answers. So that is all about this particular article, guys, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the circular economies idea. It will be important with respect to the GS paper number 3, Indian economy, as well as into the environment and ecology also we can utilize. Now guys, see, there are two types of, before going into the article, some of background will take. Guys, there could be two economic models. There could be the linear economy and there could be the circular economy. Now the linear economy is one where the goods are produced, they are consumed, and then they are discarded. Just end of the debate. Then the circular economy, where a good is produced, fine, then the good is reused, then guys it is recycled, and then again it is used. So this is a circular economy. Circular economic model is more sustainable, fine. Now it has been provided that when we talk about the circular economy, into this particular thing, guys, the plastic needs to be enrobed. specifically for the plastic, circular economic model is needed to be there. Guys, into this particular article, the data has been provided with respect to the plastic resource. It has been provided into a 2000 report by the Center for International Environmental Law that by 2050 greenhouse gas emission from plastic could reach over 56 gigatons. Fine, and this is equivalent to 10 to 13% of the remaining carbon budget. Fine, guys, you might be knowing that we have a carbon budget, a limit in which we can emit the carbon. 2900 gigawatt carbon budget is there, and guys, out of it very less is remaining, and even out of whatever is remaining, the plastic will be consuming a lot. Further, guys, it has been provided that though plastic is an undesirable thing, but at the same time plastic cannot be completely be abandoned, because guys, there are the livelihood of large number of people which is dependent onto the plastic. Fine, guys, there are large number of people who are involved into the segregation, collection, disposal of plastics, and approximately 1.5 to 4 million waste pickers in India, they are dependent onto the plastics. So guys, plastic cannot be kept, it cannot be abandoned. Plastic poses a very problematic kind of situation. So into this particular direction, it has been provided that India needs to come out with a multi-pronged systemic approach where the basically such kind of model is to be there, that the plastic use, plastic abuse can be reduced, but at the same time the livelihood of the people can also be conserved. Now guys, into this particular thing, what had happened, the plastic pact model has been taken up by many of the country. Now this plastic pact model is a kind of an integrative approach. This plastic pact model is going on into the UK, South Africa, and Australia. Now we'll discuss that what is this plastic pact. So guys, plastic pact, these are the business led initiatives where they transform their plastic packaging. Fine, they transform their entire way in which how the goods are being packed, how the goods are being transported. Fine, the plastics will be minimized, or such kind of plastics will be used which are environmentally more responsible. Now guys, these pacts, they bring everyone who are into a supply chain, the forward actors, backward actors together, so that they need to be more responsible. Now guys, when we talk about the plastic pact, it has 4 components. Number 1, they will eliminate the unnecessary and problematic plastic packaging through redesign and innovation. Guys, if you know today, the polyvinyl plastics, these plastic bags, they are very much problematic. Everything is being wrapped around these plastic bags. So innovative measures at how they can be eliminated. Then secondly, it has been provided that these plastic bags, they ensure that plastic packaging is reusable and recyclable. Thirdly, they enhances they basically promote that the reuse and recollection needs to be there. Then guys, finally it has been provided that the recycling of the plastic packaging also needed to be enhanced. Now guys, into this particular direction, the India Plastic Pact, which is the first in Asia, is being launched by the CII, that is the Confederation of Indian Industry. Now guys, this particular India Plastic Pact, it will support all these particular things. Apart from that, the extended producer responsibility framework will also be there. Now guys, the ERP, it simply means that after the end life of a particular product, the producer needs to be come out with such kind of strategy that he can procure back that particular product. For example, the end life of your you have taken a bike, and the end life of this particular bike is 15 years. So after the 15 years, the producers needs to make such kind of arrangement that he can procure it back. So it has been provided that the India Plastic Pact, it will be helping to reduce the plastic, and then guys, it can also be improve the solid waste management which has been envisaged into the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So therefore, this basically the India Plastic Pact is a kind of a good thing, and guys, into this particular thing, we need to come out with many other such kind of pacts in other areas also. So that is all guys, the idea that has been given into this particular article. Guys, I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it talks about the delays that have been caused by the government in appointing the members of the judiciary. Guys, the Supreme Court has observed that the basically collegium recommendations which are being sent by the judiciary to appoint the members of the High Court as well as the Supreme Court, they are not being considered by the government into the time, and the delays have led to the less and less strength into the courts. It has been provided that the Delhi High Court within a very less time will be
left only with the 50% of their judges. Fine, the strength is 60 judges, but there will be the only 29 judges. After a week, the recommendations have been sent to the government, but government is not considering these recommendations, and there are the delays. And if there will be the delays into the appointment of the judges, obviously the adjudication of the cases will also be affected. So guys, here a reminder has been sent to the government that they don't need to just sit on to the recommendations that have been given to them, rather they need to clear them as early as possible. So guys, just this thing has been there. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article taken from the Hindu newspaper, here we can see that into the Lok Sabha, the 3 bills have been passed into the 20 minutes, not even the 7 minute to a bill has been given. Now guys, obviously when the discussion and deliberation will not be there, the constructive role of the parliament will decline, and into this particular capacity guys, the role of opposition as well as the ruling party is to be seen into a very critical light. Neither the ruling party is seeing this particular thing, that whether if there are some kind of disruptions they are needed to be addressed, nor the opposition is considering into the debate for the critical bills. So guys, such kind of things are there. So that is all, just the one idea is there. Now guys, into the today's session, there will be the discussion on to the 127 amendment bill. Fine, now this particular bill, it seeks to give power to the state government to identify the other backward classes which are socially and economically backward. Now guys, in 2021 the Supreme Court had taken this particular power from the state government and had given such power only to the center government, and now again the power is being restored. However guys, until now the bill has not been discussed, has not been brought up. So when it will be coming, we will discuss all these particular provisions. Fine. So guys, that is all about this particular article. So guys, that is all for the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I hope that you have understood it. Thank you so much.